Minnows, are you ready? Sharks, are you ready?
Yeah!
Ready, set, go!
4 nights a week in the shadow of Legion Field. 150 kids ages 3 to 12 gather to play the beautiful game.
Doesn't matter where a child is coming from, they need investment and they need direction.
Lola Sterling first brought her kids to McClendon Park 4 years ago.
Oh, look at you. You like you played the game today. I thought we were just going to go and learn about soccer skills, how to play. They've changed our lives. They really have.
But for the single parent,
my children are 4, 6, 8, 10.
The club fees almost forced her to walk away. The cost to play most recreational soccer clubs is around $250 a season, not including equipment.
You want your child to have shoes, have cleats, have a uniform. I didn't see how, but I knew I could trust God.
Go! Thankfully, North Star isn't like most soccer clubs.
Does anyone want to pray for us before we go?
Thank you, Lord, for this day. Thank you, Lord, for everything you have done for us. Amen.
Amen.
The nonprofit decides their fees based on a family's annual income. Then donations make up the difference.
If someone's investing something, even if it's just a couple dollars a month, it just kind of shows that they really believe in this program.
But there is still the cost of equipment.
I have 4 children. I understand that they're going to give maybe one child a pair of shoes, but I'm like, 4? You know, and I didn't want a pair of shoes that had holes in them. I just wanted them to have the best. Well, they gave my children, each one of them, a pair of shoes.
From Chelsea to Tressville, churches and soccer teams from across the area donate to North Star to help families like Lola's.
This community, there's a lot of hardships, especially in this area, right here specifically around Legion Field. This program is a light to this community.
A star, guiding families like Lola's in the right direction.
To me, you can't get better than that. So it makes more than just a pat on the back, man, go out there and kick that ball and let's win. No, we win even if the numbers don't come out right all the time, but we're winning. We're winning on this side.
Britton Lynn, Fox 6 Sports.
All right, are the helmets high school football players are using in our state as safe as they're designed to be?
As teams get ready for spring training, we're taking a closer look at the helmets that children are wearing. Britton Lynn has this On Your Side investigation.
Increased scrutiny about the safety of helmets and the long-term effects of concussions have parents concerned. Who's responsible for keeping your child safe? Here's what you need to know.
How's it come to order?
There are currently no laws in the state of Alabama requiring helmets to be reconditioned and recertified. Therefore, the decision is left to the school's coach or principal. Oftentimes, a limited budget keeps the schools from spending as much as they should on helmets.
Some helmets have missing cushion. So, you know, and some coaches, I hate to say, they'll take that chance of trying to play a player without the right equipment, or they would take this out and put it into a new helmet, which this cushion doesn't belong in another type of helmet. It becomes a liability not only for that coach, it becomes a liability for that school and also that school system.
Alabama High School Athletic Association oversees the rules regarding middle school and high school football equipment. AHSAA recommends helmets be reconditioned and recertified every other year, but it's not required. We sat down with Greg Brewer, the Director of Officials, to help clarify.
What are the requirements for those coaches and schools in terms of middle school helmet protection?
We don't have any.
Okay, so just high school?
Not even high school.
What are the rules in terms of helmets? So there's 0 rules?
Well,
I thought
the
rule
Federation
was...
requires, I mean, you have to wear a helmet, yes, okay. The Federation, yes, there is a rule that says you have to wear a helmet. And the helmet has to have the 4-prong chin strap. And that's the only thing that you'll see in any rule book requiring any requirement about helmets.
I'm not sure if I heard you correctly, so just clarify, but reconditioning is not required by middle schools for helmets every year or every 2 years?
Well, it's not required by us or the National Federation, but it's kind of understood that that's what's going to happen. They do it every year, whether it's required or not, because that's common sense, you know.
Unfortunately, that's not the case. We found at least one school that said they wait as long as 3 years before helmets are reconditioned and recertified, which means those helmets are more likely to have cracks, missing parts, or be past their 10-year mark. We also found multiple schools where records were lost because of a changeover of coaches, something we also asked AHSAA about.
It's up to the person who's in charge of the school, which is the principal, to make sure that he or she hires competent people.
In late January, we sent a records request to every public school in the state, asking for their helmet records. Because helmets are purchased and recertified with tax dollars, there should be a record of those purchases. But since January, only 6 schools have shared their records. They are Pike County, Goshen, Enterprise, Albertville, Athens, Alex City, Wicksburg, Leeds, and Homewood. And we'll continue to petition the schools for this information and add it to our database on myfoxal.com and the WBRC app as it comes in. In 2008, not a single Alabama football player was drafted. That was following Coach Saban's first season at the Capstone. Since then, a lot has changed. In the last 6 years, 41 Alabama football players have been drafted.
That was a good reason to sign here. I know if you come here, you got a higher chance to go into the NFL than anywhere else.
14 of those players taken in the first round.
I mean, we had a couple safeties taken in the first round, so I mean, I don't want to let them down and not be one of the next safeties coming out first round. So
you kind of know he has your back, and he's going to go to bat for you.
Of the 17 Alabama players at Pro Day, 10 others like Austin Shepard competed at the Combine. But for players like Brian Vogler, their Combine came today.
Sort of going out there with a chip on your shoulder, trying to prove that maybe you should have been invited. All those situations Coach Saban puts us in during the week. You know, we've done a mock pro day before.
No doubt Alabama's 85-16 record, pro-style offense, and NFL connections under Coach Saban give potential NFL prospects an edge.
Tremendously prepared. Finally, Coach Saban, Coach Smart, and the great players that played there before. I mean, you had a standard you had to open.
But for now, it's back to business for the busy coach because spring practice starts this Friday.
I'm excited about it. I know we got a lot of holes to fill, especially on offense.
Reporting from Tuscaloosa, Britton Lynn, Fox 6 Sports. The average high school football player has 652 hits to the head a season.
The overall athlete himself has gotten bigger, faster, stronger.
In a sport with extensive physical contact,
you know, your impacts are obviously going to be harder.
Constant upkeep is required.
A lot can happen in a year. You can put a helmet on, it may have a little crack in it we don't see.
Which is why coaches send their helmets off for an annual checkup. Helmets arrive in a reconditioning and recertification plant like this one.
We take in about 25,000 helmets a year. Over 4,000 of them don't make it. We're disposing of these helmets.
Tucker Manufacturing currently recertifies helmets from 15 states and 3 SEC teams. During the process, helmets are checked to make sure each part is functioning properly.
The worst thing a coach could have is to lose a kid.
Schools spend an average of $2,500 on helmet reconditioning and recertification. Then add in the additional cost of replacing the rejected helmets with new ones.
You know, if you're sitting here talking about money, well, we're talking about a kid's life, you know, and a kid's, you know, well-being. So it's worth every penny to us.
The process starts and ends with the drop test.
It has an accelerometer inside the head, and it gives you a severity index number.
A scientifically accepted measurement of human injury tolerance.
It basically measures G-force over time.
An impact equivalent to that of a player running 12 miles an hour into a flat surface. Next, all parts and decals are removed.
We have to take all the stickers off. Some we buff off. We just get them down to the shell.
Helmets are continuously searched for defects.
Are they typically the cracks that tiny?
Here's the thing, it's cracked and it's going to get worse. We have no control over how long this school is going to wait to send this helmet back in. Yeah. So we've got to take it out.
Each internal part is also inspected and cleaned.
It recycles water and it heats it up to a certain temperature where we're going to be killing a lot of the bacteria.
Helmets are repainted and internal parts reinstalled, then inspected and tested again.
When I get ready to pack them, I check them in the inside to make sure that everything is in the inside of them. They should be there. If all the little caps are on them, all the screws are in them.
Finally, recertification stickers are placed on approved helmets, which are then shipped back to schools, a 4 to 6 week process.
We do it every year. We don't take a chance. It costs to play this game. But let me tell you something. The cost is well worth the chances of something happening to a kid for not having the proper helmet.
Helmets are school's lifeline. But what if the protective equipment is putting your child's health at risk? To figure out, we visited the UAB School of Math and Science. Scientists swab 4 parts of each helmet: the chin strap, the back of the head, the face mask, and the ear padding.
When we just swab the helmets, we're growing everything that's on there,
which are then incubated for 24 to 48 hours. And to get the most accurate results, we used helmets that hadn't been worn or cleaned since the season ended.
Actually, I was most surprised that they weren't that dirty. The one that had the most bacterial growth was the top of the head and the ear. I was expecting maybe to find a little bit more bacteria on them than we did.
So despite their smell, nothing too bad was found since they were stored in non-climate controlled field houses.
More than likely, the temperature change is going to be enough to probably kill any harmful bacteria. It's going to need to be in a warm, moist environment in order to really thrive.
Which means in the summer and fall, it's a good idea to wipe down each helmet to limit harmful bacteria growth. So what's the best way to clean a helmet? We put a couple of household cleaners to the test.
If you look at this plate, some of the bacteria is growing just right on top of the hydrogen peroxide.
It's safe to say that hydrogen peroxide was the least effective. Next, we tried a homemade cleaner made of lemon juice, dish soap, and vinegar.
It was relatively effective on some. It wasn't as effective as we were kind of hoping.
Now, the Lysol, on the other hand, killed a significant amount of bacteria, but it was the Pine Sol that took the win. Pine Sol was the only cleaner to kill the majority of bacteria on every helmet tested.
So you can see Lysol was pretty effective, but if you compare it to the Pine Sol plate, so there's no growth on this plate at all.
That's
so
amazing.
It
killed all of it.
Yeah, so it was very, very effective at killing the bacteria on the plate.
Here are 3 ways you can help prevent a traumatic brain injury in football. First, education. The U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention has a free online concussion course created specifically for youth sports. It's called Heads Up. The course takes about 30 minutes to complete, then you're certified. Now, this is the same course coaches from around the state take to fulfill the 2011 Alabama concussion law, requiring coaches from every sport to participate in yearly training. Second, inspection. Check your child's helmet before they start playing. Oftentimes that means going up to the school with your child and asking to see it. Now, here are 4 things you want to look for. 1. Does the helmet fit my child properly? A football helmet should feel snug with no spaces between the padding and the athlete's head. To do that, the interior padding needs to be fully aired so that the helmet isn't slipping around when your child moves his head. Also, make sure the base of the skull is covered and the helmet is about an inch above the eyebrow. 2. When was the helmet made? A helmet should be no more than 10 years old from the time of manufacture. Look for this sticker stating the initial season the helmet was made. If it says 2005 or earlier, it's time for a new helmet. 3. Look for when the helmet was last recertified. Reconditioning and recertification ensures any parts that might have gone missing during the season are replaced and defects are found. Alabama High School Athletic Association recommends helmets are reconditioned and recertified every other year, but yearly recertification will protect your child the most. Often a crack can occur during the season or a crucial part go missing. You should see this sticker on the back of the helmet stating when it was last recertified. If the sticker says 2013, it's time to be done again. 4. Check the helmet model. No football helmet is concussion proof, but you can find a helmet that reduces the probability of a traumatic brain injury. Virginia Tech released an independent study rating those helmets. Those study results are posted in every NFL locker room and are considered by many to be the standard for helmet safety. You can find Virginia Tech's study results on our website. 3rd, action. Stop by a practice and see what happens when a child executes a dangerous play. Do coaches correct them? Even if your child has the best possible helmet, improper tackling will put him in jeopardy. Your child should be tackling with his head up. Many coaches like to tell kids to watch what they're tackling. They should also be instructed to tackle with their back flat and by leading with their face mask, not the crown of their head. Lastly, get to know your coach. Does the coach promote safe play? Is he educated about helmet rules? How does he coach? Remember, you can prevent a brain injury for your child. Don't take the risk of assuming.